Welcome to the Stone Table. This isn't a stage, it's a gathering place. Here, lifters of all kinds bring their stories. The heavy, the honest, and the hard-earned. Real voices, real weight. Shared like a good pour among friends. Recorded in Ontario, Canada, and open to lifters everywhere. Sláinte.
In this episode, we delve into the fascinating world of fascia and mobility with Laura Gair, a certified personal trainer and stone lifting enthusiast. Discover how understanding fascia can transform your training, making you a more effective hugger of stones. Laura shares her insights on how mobility work and fascia techniques not only enhance your lifting capabilities, but also connect you more deeply with the stones and your own body. Tune in to learn how these practices can empower you to lift with confidence and grace, embracing the full potential of your strength.
So welcome back to the Stone Table podcast. I'm your host, Rebecca Innes, and today here in the studio, I have Laura Gair from Maryland, and I've been following Laura for a few years now. She's a stone lifter, a certified personal trainer, specializing in fascia techniques, and she's here to share her story and background in stone lifting. So welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's so great to finally get to talk after following you for years on Instagram and admiring your work. It's been great.
Awesome. And we just do a little tradition here. So what have you got on top today?
I have a recess, which is non-alcoholic, and I have the Paloma, which is grapefruit flavored.
Amazing. And I have both tea and a little wine. So let's get started. So can you give us a little bit of background about you? Tell us a bit about how did strength find you and what brought you to stone lifting?
Okay, so I actually started out as a bodybuilder, and I had this goal of just wanting to be on stage. It was not part of my personality whatsoever. I grew up as a band kid, hardcore at heart, was not very athletic, and I just saw the stage and had my eyes on it. So in 2022, I finally got myself on stage, loved the whole bodybuilding process, and learned a ton from it. But afterwards, I was feeling a little weak because that's just not, the style of how bodybuilding training goes. And so in my course of going into the gym after the bodybuilding, I saw this group of strong people, and there was one woman there, and she was lifting a 12-inch log, and I was like, oh my gosh, like this is it. Like I was just standing there in awe, absolute awe. And they saw me like with my jaw dropped, and they're like, come on over. So here I am, like 117 pounds, just coming off of a bodybuilding show. And these strong people are inviting me over to lift this like gigantic log that is bigger than me. So of course I couldn't lift it, but they were all cheering me on. It was a blast, and it was really like that community that drew me in. Like it was smiles all around, and like, these big giant people were just like the most friendly ever. And it just made me feel at home. It made me feel comfortable. I loved it.
Well, that's a huge transition going from band camp to bodybuilding to essentially strong woman. But really, I think that that's the commonality I've found in my conversations that I've had through comps or people over here in our lifting stones, is that usually there's that one woman that, like for women, there's this one woman that kind of draws you in and makes you believe that, anything is possible.
Absolutely.
And so was that at a strongman gym, or were there stones there? Is that how you transitioned into the stones?
Yes, that is how I transitioned. Because after the log, of course, it is a strongman gym, and it's also just like one of those underground, grungy, like dirty, no AC, but love it, old school. Love that style. And so they had most of the strongman equipment there. And yes, the stones were all out back. Since I couldn't lift the log, of course, I needed something that was attainable for me. but still in the style of lifting strange objects. So out back, they have this gorgeous line of Atlas stones. And I was just like, oh, it's like the moment. And I was like, all right, we're doing this. So one of the strong friends that I had made during that little lift, he was a stone lifter, and I asked him to help me learn stones. And so he did. He coached me through. He taught me some technique, and it was a great moment. I remember my first stone was like ragged 110. It's cut off at the bottom and it's got the rocky cement on it, right? And he's like, just lift it, just pick it up. And I'm like, it hurts, it scratches and whatever, but I'm lifting, I'm working through it. By the end of the session, like 2 hours of just like lifting stones, I was cut up, I was dirty, I was sweaty, I was exhausted, but I was exhilarated and I absolutely loved it.
And if I recall, because you and I had a mutual friend
Hmm.
at that point, and he was helping you in stone lifting. He's also a Highland Games athlete. And if I recall, you actually were lifting Atlas stones without tacky. Like you were doing them
Yeah.
tacky-less.
Yeah.
And like there was one time I think you got it up to your shoulder, and I can't remember the weight of that, but it was phenomenal. Like what was your highest, if you can recall, what was your highest stone to shoulder for Atlas? Because that was in your early days too.
Yeah. I think my highest to shoulder was 130 pounds, which at that time was about my body weight. I got the 150 to high chest. I don't remember, and that was a natural stone. It was like this really dense iron stone at about 150. I got it definitely to high chest. I can't remember if I got it to shoulder though. But 130 is the heaviest I've done to shoulder. Actually, for my 34th birthday last year, I like to do a birthday challenge every year and do like reps of my age. And so last year I chose stone to shoulder. So I did 11 sets, 3 reps of stone to shoulder at 110 pounds. And then my last rep, I did 130.
Oh my gosh, that's
Yeah.
that's incredible. I had no idea that you were a bodybuilder, but this is kind of giving me an avenue to go down a kind of a different path, which we did not pre-discuss this, but
Yeah.
I get a lot of questions from both men and women about, hey, like I want to start stone lifting.
Hmm.
I'm starting out from nowhere. What do I need to do? Like how do I start? Like what is my path? They want to know basically what is the program. So you transitioned from bodybuilding, you went into like the strongman stone lifting.
Hmm.
What did you do as you entered this stone lifting world?
I just really started getting back into the basic lifts, focusing on the strength of squat, deadlifts, getting my incline bench and overhead press up. And I found it was good, but I actually took a short hiatus into powerlifting. Yay, ADHD. So I took a short hiatus into powerlifting because yes, implements are great, but I was like, I really need some base strength. And powerlifting actually really got me to that strength level that I felt that I needed to be. Just zoning in on that, building up the squat, bench, deadlift, and just getting that foundational strength down was really helpful. And then after the short hiatus, I was like, yay, I did powerlifting. Cool. Let's go back to strongman. And lift some cool things.
Wow. And so when you started the stone lifting, did you notice then any difference? Because as you said, trained with one of our mutual friends. And
Mhm.
did you notice that there was a difference between how like you were approaching the stones and he approaches the stones?
Yes, I do tend to find a difference between men and women in lifting. Men will definitely be more of a grip it and rip it type of style, just get that thing off the ground and let's get it rolling. Women tend to be a little more methodical, tend to be more thoughtful, which I think just biologically goes back to both of our roots, the aggression and then the protecting your body. So we
Hmm.
tend to be a little more mindful when it comes to that. But I see a commonality in that both men and women enjoy the puzzle aspect of stones, which is really the piece that drives that introspection and gets you to connect with nature and with the stone. From bodybuilding to stone lifting, I do feel that the intensity from bodybuilding, because you're always like pushing to failure, I feel like that mentality will be able to transfer over well into stone lifting, because of course stone lifting requires that amount of like pushing yourself to that burn, like to that very last drop that you have left in you. And so that transfers as well.
Yes, because especially on, well, at least for me, I find with getting some of the heavier stones to shoulder, that's where my endurance and that pushing
Hmm.
through the discomfort comes
Hmm.
into play. So you were working out in the gym with the stones. When did you kind of meander out into the wild? And do you have like places around there that you go to and visit?
Yeah, yeah. So natural stone lifting is my absolute favorite. I definitely prefer it over Atlas stones, and it's just the variety and the environment of being in the nature and being able to connect with the stone, with yourself, and with the nature. Just being in the environment, I feel at peace because I feel like everything in nature reflects a part of who we are and a behavior that we have, or some kind of value that we have inside. I mean, if you just look at water and the way that water moves, it reflects how life moves. It reflects the power or the grace that we need to move through life. And um and just having that time outside, whether it's 20 minutes to just go say, hey, let me go see what I can do with this one stone, or whether you spend hours just out there, either with one stone or going around and listening to other stones and seeing what they have to say or seeing how they lift. That's the most enjoyable part for me, is just that discovery and that learning to read the stone. Uh,
I absolutely love what you said about listening to the stones because it very much is that kind of practice. What do they have to say today? And whether it's taking time, whether it is a grip it and rip it day,
mhm.
or maybe the other day you did a 110 and today you can only do a 90 to shoulder. It's listening, it's that time to listen to the body, to listen to go internally because we spend so much time, and I think as a CPT you've probably discovered that women and too are kind of disconnected from that inner world and from that listening to their body. Is that highly relatable? Like, do you find that you've become more embodied with this practice?
Absolutely, 1,000%. Especially as women, we move through cycles, of course, and so our strength one day may not be our strength the next, and we have to be okay with that. And that is a big lesson in patience and understanding that I believe stone lifting teaches as well. Like you said, one day you can lift something, your heaviest stone up to your shoulder, and the next day you might not even be able to get something to lap, right? But it's about that experience. It's about that you went out there and you tried and you put that effort out there. And it's really about that making the stone part of you and taking on that weight, being one with the stone, right?
Hmm.
And when you're able to lift that weight, you feel like you're able to take on anything. You feel like you're able to lift all your worries away because it's just you and that stone, and that's all that you have to think about. And it forces that focus, it forces that intuition, and it forces you to listen to yourself. And I mean, and that goes with training as well. With women, if you are barbell lifting, it's the same thing. Men can easily go by numbers. They can increase their weights by 10 pounds this week or 5 pounds this week. Women, 100 might feel 10 times heavier the next week than it should. And so I really encourage women to, in whether it's stone lifting or barbell lifting, to listen to your body and not let that discourage you or get you down, because it's natural and you just have to ride that tide and go with the waves.
And I think for me, when I was doing strongman and stone lifting as well, it really allowed me to recognize those cycles. I would say I was pretty much oblivious. Well, I knew that they existed, but I didn't understand the impact of them really probably until my late 30s or 40s.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was a game changer. It was almost like, we want to do our best, but it allows you to be compassionate.
Yes.
I grew a lot of compassion when I started to understand that having cycles of whether it be hibernation or growth, and whether it be seasonal, like off-season training, in-season training, they all have an impact.
Hmm.
And you can't approach it like you're continuously growing.
Right.
And I think it's sometimes that step forward, step back. And I would encourage women to find those cycles, to really understand that it is an important makeup to developing your plan, like your training plan.
Absolutely.
When you develop plans for your clients, is that something that you consider?
Yes, typically. Like, I don't plan exactly around the cycle,
Mhm.
but I do allow them to assess their RPE, their rate of perceived exertion. I typically use that over RIR, which is the reps in reserve, and that is because it's easier to say, okay, this feels like an effort level 8, rather than like, okay, I need to do this
Mhm.
weight today. And that's what I really enjoy about natural stone lifting, is that it's not about the weight at all, because the shape, the texture, the size, the balance, all of those things change how that weight feels. So a 100-pound barbell is not going to feel the same as a 100-pound stone. They're absolutely different. Every stone is going to feel different, and sometimes one stone can feel different a million different times.
This is so true. And that's the cool puzzle aspect of it. Like sometimes I'll change the way that I lift a stone in here if I've been lifting it a certain way, and I'll just flip it up to make it more challenging, or just to see, well, maybe like I've missed something. So when you go out, I've seen you do a lot of things on your own. Like, do you have like a stone community there in Maryland?
Not too much. We do have a few stone lifters, but I do like to go out on my own often, because it is more meditative for me. I'll go out here and there with friends, take them to a special spot, have a good time, show them what it's like. But really, I just like to sneak out between clients on work days, or I like to just go have a few minutes to myself in the nature and just finding that peace. Because being able to kind of wrestle with that stone, it gets that energy out. And because really you're wrestling with yourself, right? Because you're trying to find your own balance and your strengths and your weaknesses within that stone. And so that's what I find so incredible about stone lifting.
And so in your stone lifting path, did you hit any barriers early on that path, like physical, social, mental?
Yes, physically, it was tough, because of course, like, I'm not as big as, or and strong as most of the people in my community lifting stones, and so I felt like a little bit silly, like lifting these little pebbles next to our mutual friend. He kept, telling me to trust that it's okay. You just be who you are and meet yourself where you are. And then he showed me your Instagram. He was like, you need to follow her, because she will show you that it is possible. So of course I went on and I found your Instagram, and man, just the peace, but like that fierce strength, like you can just see it on your face, and it's incredible. And so you you really gave me that inspiration to find my own strength, and I really appreciate that. As being a woman in stone lifting, you were the first example I saw of that strength.
Oh my
um
goodness. That's I didn't really gather that at all because as I said, like I'd been following you. And I think part of the goal of this podcast or this like archive of stories is to kind of convince other people that stone lifting can do this for them too. Is that it things are possible. Size, gender, orientation, nothing matters. Stone
Absolutely.
as one of our fellow stone lifting community says, stones are for everyone and they are for everyone. And yeah, like anything is absolutely possible. So
Absolutely.
that's phenomenal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean,
And
I have my 4-year-old nephew like lifting stones. We lift stones together and now he's like, "Auntie, look at this stone. Guess how much it weighs?" And and he's so into it. And you got to start him young. It builds that confidence and of learning their body, and it's so neat to watch.
yeah, and so what about like mentally or socially? Like you had the
Mm,
physical restraints, but was there anything that inhibited you, like socially or mentally, in the stone lifting
yes.
process?
So mentally, I guess this is a little physical and mental, but when I first started lifting stones, I would panic whenever the stone was on my chest.
Hmm.
And it would just trigger a panic response. But that's how I learned that I need to move through this. Like, this is something that I need to overcome, and stone lifting is how I'm going to do it. And so I kept on practicing. I would hold the stone up here, and you practice through breath. So I would hold the stone up here, I would breathe, mindfulness. When you breathe, you bring your mind to your breath, and then you bring your breath into your body and you sync everything together, and you're able to kind of control those autonomic responses and overcome that fear or that panic response. And so over time I get better, and now you can see I'm holding big stones up there and popping them. And so yeah, I mean, that's like one of my own progressions that I've seen in myself that I've overcome.
I love that. And I think that is one of the things I've witnessed most in whether it be in stone lifting competitions or even just here at home or at the gym is that people that are going up to the shoulder give up a little too soon when I know that they could have shouldered it because of that panic reflex.
Yes.
So if someone is facing that, how would you program so that they can kind of, and you've alluded to that slightly, but if you were to program that, like how would you suggest that somebody go about getting over that discomfort of that heavy stone on the chest?
I would say everything, or like Arnold says, everything is reps, reps, reps. So of course the consistency matters of just getting used to that, having that weight on your chest. Of course you want to move in your comfort zone, so you don't want to just jump up and have like this, you know, super, super heavy weight on your chest that's crushing you. Um, Move progressively, build up your confidence with the stones. I would definitely program some high chest holds. That way you can get comfortable in that position, holding that position. You can also do some pick and pops, where you pick up and then pop it up onto the chest, and that way you get comfortable with that stone landing onto the chest and getting that impact. And I guess those are the two things I would recommend
Yeah, and the
most.
breathing through it, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like dealing with the autonomic nervous system and getting that right
Yes.
under.
So when you are doing your hold, you really want to focus in on a 360 breath. So this is expansion in all directions. You want that expansion in the front, in the belly, around the sides, in the rib cage, and then you want that little bit of expansion into the back, and that gives you that full deep breath. You always want to breathe through your nose. That's going to give you a deeper breath than through your mouth. When you breathe through your mouth, it's going to go straight to your lungs. When you breathe through your nose, it's going to travel all the way down through to your diaphragm, which is going to give you that deeper, fuller breath and provide your body with more oxygen, and then be able to calm yourself a little better. When you are able to focus in on this breath, it takes your brain away from any kind of nervous thoughts, conscious or unconscious, but it focuses you in on your body, which is the only thing you need in that moment.
This is so good. Do you do breath work
A
in
little bit,
addition?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, I actually specialize in pre and postnatal training as well. So that is actually where I've learned a lot of my breath work in controlling your breath. I've also read a little bit of Wim Hof and controlling the
Mhm.
autonomic system. He's great to look into, but the breath and controlling the pelvic floor, of course, going to women in strength, we can often have weak pelvic floors, and it's very, very important to control and strengthen that deep core through your breath.
So I'm going to take us a little detour before we talk about fascia and talk about pelvic floor
Hmm.
for a moment. So normally on the natural stones, I do not have any issues with like pelvic floor weaknesses or that. And I've actually, due to my back injury last year, I worked using the McGill 3, which is essentially like doing the bug, the like alternate arm to leg, and really like getting my core. So I think I've improved my pelvic strength through improving my core. But when I was doing Atlas stones, when I was in strongman, when I was getting to those heavy lifts of like 240 pounds. Now, granted, I've had 2 children naturally, and I'm a heavier athlete as well as I am now 50. And so I would have, pelvic weakness throughout those lifts. And you'll see a lot of women having it in their deadlifts as well.
Hmm.
What as women can we do to kind of improve that through functional fitness, through stone lifting, through practice?
Yes, I would say daily practice will be efficient. You can practice like 6 to 8 breaths once or twice a day. You want to practice those breaths with your pelvic floor activation.
Thank you for that like kind of diversion. That was amazing.
Yeah, that's okay.
Because like it is definitely part of strongman that I felt that, and it's unfortunate because it can really impact you mentally,
Yes.
and women don't have to stay like that.
No.
It's something that's something that can be addressed with a number of
Yes.
interventions.
Absolutely. But I think also creating the culture that it is okay and it's normal and it happens is important, because it does. I mean, I've seen women on the powerlifting floor, they pee, and that's okay, and we have to accept that, even though, yes, we are struggling with that mentally. We're constantly have that fear of, what is this doing to my body? Like, is it just going to come out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
We still have to, make sure that we recognize that it's okay.
I love that. Okay, so back on to your specialty, which is you're a CPT and your specialty is fascia work. Okay, I think I know what fascia might be, but can you explain it to me in simple terms?
Yeah, it's manual stretching, so you just lie on a table and breathe. Okay, so you don't have to do anything, but it's a way to relax, reset, and recalibrate your mind and body. It reconnects the mind body patterns that you have. So it really takes like 2,000 pounds of pressure to physically manipulate a muscle. So everything that I'm doing is using touch in order to signal the brain to move the muscle correctly, or to let it relax. Uh,
And so is fascia okay, so is fascia over the muscle?
yes, yes, it's
Okay.
the tissue. It's the tissue that's wrapped around the muscle.
Okay.
So if you think of like, if your shirt is wrinkly, I'm just like ironing out your shirt.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah.
And is fascia work when like you move against the skin and like it sticks a little bit? Is that fascia at play or
So this is more of like using traction
okay.
using traction to create the space, so it kind of pulls the joints apart a little bit, like, in a safe way, right?
Mhm. Okay.
It creates some traction in the joints, which creates space for the muscles to move around, right? Because if your shoulder's cranked up, the muscle has no space to move.
Okay.
So I touch the shoulder, signal the brain to let the shoulder move down, and then allow you to move in that position to tell your brain that it's safe to move in that position. And then from there, you can reinforce that movement.
So it's
So,
kind of like recreating, like consciously recreating new movements within the body to learn what's safe again.
correct. Absolutely.
Okay, very
Spot on.
cool. Very cool. So then how does fascia react to like stones versus barbells? You've had both experiences there. Like, have
Hmm.
you noticed anything different in your training with those?
Yes, I have noticed that stones will create some muscle imbalances, natural stones, of course. They will unfortunately create or enforce muscle imbalances because the goal essentially is to connect with the stone, move your body around the stone the best way that you can, whether it's your strength or your weakness, you're going to be getting that stone up. So unfortunately, I think that it can enforce some of those muscle imbalances and that barbell work is essential, even if it's minimal, I think it's essential just to stay on top of any muscle imbalances. I feel, but as far as like goes into the just like the fascia itself and like holding the tension, um, I feel that stone lifting creates this kind of stress that is then relaxing. Like it puts your body under so much pressure, um, that afterwards you just feel relief. And I think,
I think all lifters can relate what you're saying right now.
yeah, yeah. I don't really know how else to describe it.
What would you say then that are the common fascia restrictions in stone lifters?
Definitely hips. Like hips are going to be your driving force. So whether it's internal rotation, external rotation, or not being able to get deep down enough in your squat, I think that that's going to be the most restrictive in stone lifters. Yeah.
What about biceps? And like, I've seen a lot of people lately who have having like tennis elbow and like bicep tendonitis.
Mhm.
Is like, what is that? What can you do for that fascia related?
Definitely keep your wrists and forearms mobile. Any kind of wrist mobility that you do, keep them mobile and keep your grip strong. That way your biceps aren't trying to take over and keep up with your rows, right? I think that doing both wrist flexion and extension both are very important and keep them as mobile as possible.
And so that should be like worked into the programming, like at the, either leading up to your lifts or at the end.
Yeah, I would say at the end you can do some, unless you feel restricted in a certain way, like that you're not able to do your lift. I would say stay with some dynamic movements like some wrist rolls, some wrist twists. So like I really like when you can rotate your forearm. That
Hmm.
opens up things really well. So unless you feel really restricted before you work out, I would focus more of your stretching afterwards to recover to make sure that you're not staying stuck in the position that you were working out in, that you can recover well and open up the spaces for circulation, and for recovery and healing.
And so, what would you say are some of the early signs of injury with respect to stone lifting that we can kind of keep our eyes? Like, obviously, we're gonna like the obvious ones are there. We're gonna feel sore. We're gonna, feel tension in that. But is there
Hmm.
any other signs that we might not pick up that you think we should be aware of?
I would say chronic fatigue is under notice, especially by women, going through our cycles. We're just like, oh, this is just another tired day, right? Let me push through.
Hmm.
And I think that it's important to listen to to where your body is fatigued. Find with stone lifters, especially myself, I start to get that little bit of low back, little achy ache, and that's when I know that it's time to work on some hip mobility. It's time to rest, sit in my deep squat a bit, and maybe not try to max out every single stone that I lift.
Although it is hard not
Oh,
to
it's
do
so
that at some
hard.
point. Yeah, it is so hard not to do that at some point. So,
Yeah.
if you could give listeners one daily fascia practice for stones out of
Mm.
all the things
Mm.
what would you recommend?
So there is my favorite sequence. It's called Core 4 on the floor, and it's by Stretch to Win. You can search it up on YouTube. It's a 15-minute stretch routine. That is my absolute favorite. recommended stretch routine to open up the hips and realign the whole body. If you're not interested in core 4 on the floor, I just recommend any kind of hip opener, getting your thoracic mobility going to make sure that you can get that extension and you're good to go.
Excellent.
Mhm.
Moving into kind of the training aspects, when you're training women or like through your own experience, what beliefs have you had to undo most for women when it comes to either the barbell or for stone lifting?
I think it's confidence. It's confidence. Like women don't realize how much they can lift. And I think that's why it's so important for us as a community to show that all shapes, all sizes can lift. Whether you are lifting pebbles, whatever, who cares, right? We're lifting,
Mhm.
we're out here lifting, we're having fun. And so I think it's really important to show women that they can move, like that they can lift and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. And I think that that's so critical is getting that confidence and that inner trust, right? That
Yes.
trust to trust yourself. I think through all of the work that I've done on myself that is the one biggest thing that I have had to overcome is that confidence piece and then trusting that I know that
Yes.
intuition that I can do this, that if somewhere inside of me is saying, hey, like today is not a stone lifting day. Maybe you need to rest, like to really trust that.
Yes.
And so, have you helped women kind of get back to trusting themselves through the lifting process, through the PT process?
Oh yeah. So I had a client who recently hit a PR. She was lifting 175 trap bar. She PR'd and then she asked, do you think I could do 200 maybe by the end of the month? And I was like, oh yeah. Oh yeah. So at the end of the month, we did our test and she hit 250. And I'm like, girl, like, see what you can do. See what you can do. And now she wants to participate in our local charity strong woman competition in June. So it's amazing.
It's a movement, and I love that.
Yes.
It's women empowering other women or like men empowering women along like those healthy masculine men that are in our lives that are like, yeah, like these women have so much potential.
Hmm.
So was there, besides that moment, was there any other coaching moment that kind of linked everything for you saying, hey, like this is why I do what I do. This is why I work as a PT, fascia, stone lifting, getting out in the woods, that kind of thing.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So this was one of my early moments, and it's not necessarily coaching, but it's a stone moment. It's dear to my heart. And so I was on a nature walk with my friend Jess, and I had taken her out to this stone that I had recently found. It was a place that's really close to my work site, place I could just slip out to. And we were going on a nature walk, and I just took her to the stone. I was like, "Hey Jess, check out this stone." I was like, "We need to name it." And so so she named it Rocky O. And so this is my favorite stone, Rocky O. And she's the only good lifting stone in the park. And so she's real special. And so like Jess isn't really a stone lifter. She's never lifted stones. And I'm like, Jess, come on. Like, I tried once. Like I couldn't do it, but I was like, man, I'm gonna do it because this is a cool stone. I was like, Jess, come on, you gotta try. You gotta go do it. And she gets wind under that stone. Oh my gosh. And we were both like cheering. We were so ecstatic. And I was like, oh my gosh, okay, now I have to go lift it. I think I don't even think I got it that day. I might have gotten it just like I may have nudged it. But that's when it really clicked for me that it's about the community. It's about the experience. It shows you that anybody can lift stones. It doesn't matter your background, who you are, your size, whatever. That's what the stone lifting is about. It's about those experiences and bringing each other together.
Absolutely. And so I do hope that you can get more of a stone community in Maryland. I don't know how close that is to any of the other stone communities that have been created, but I think there's some Highland Games down there that have some
Hmm.
competitions.
Yeah.
Yeah. And have you participated in those?
I have not participated, but I've gone to watch my friend compete. Yeah, it's a blast. It's a blast.
And so let's talk then about kind of your stone goals. Like, do you have any stone lifting goals for your future, plans for travel, or is this more like getting just continuing to get out in nature?
It's a little bit of both. I mean, like I said, most of it for me is just getting out in nature. I would love to start building the local stone community around here. We have some awesome stone sites available, and I would. It's all about the community. And
Hmm.
that's what I would love, to bring that joy to people and help them learn and understand what stone lifting is all about, because it has brought me so much joy and has helped me find my strength, not just in stone lifting but in life, to carry whatever weight life holds. I can feel like I can lift it through stone lifting. So I would love to build the community, and I definitely want to get Rocky O at least up to my knees by next season. Like, come on. I've gotten better. I've gotten some wind under her, but I definitely want to try to get her up to my knees and just continue exploring, finding new spots. I would love to kind of map out the geographical areas, like what kind of stones are in what areas and what the good sites would be, and just kind of dive really deep into the stone culture.
That's amazing. Just one thing that I wanted to talk to you about. What do you think that some of the common beginner mistakes are with stones?
So probably first would be being too aggressive with it, because you do kind of get a sense of like, oh, I have to get this up. I'm gonna fight it. And so like being too aggressive with it would be one mistake. But then on the other hand, I think that it's also a mistake to be too careful, because you need to
Hmm.
find that balance, which is the beauty of stone lifting.
Yeah, it
And
is. It is about balance. A
yeah.
lot about balance. That the yin and the yang, the light and the dark. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But then, like, just mechanically, I feel like keeping the stone too far away from you, not keeping it close into your body, or like you said, with the biceps, using too much bicep, getting too much of a curl instead of a hug, and that squeeze into the stone can cause a lot of the stress on the bicep.
Okay, let's talk about something that's been somewhat controversial about stone lifting hurting your back. I actually did hurt my back about a year and a half ago, but it wasn't stone lifting. I was
Hmm.
preparing for OSG and it was a sandbag that I picked up and it just wrecked. It wasn't good. And so, what are your thoughts on, lifting stones are going to hurt your back and, people shouldn't be doing it?
No, you have to listen to your body. That's the most important part. Listen to your stone, listen to your body, and you won't get hurt. Typically, your grip is going to give out anyway before the rest of your body is. So you're going to drop the stone, and your biggest fear is going to be like dropping the stone on you,
Hmm.
is typically what's going to happen. I mean, yeah, you're typically going to drop the stone before you pull your back. But it is important to learn how to safely get rid of a stone. Speaking of it falling on you, it's really important to get those negatives, learn how to control the stone down, and or learning how to get it out and away. Like when I was first lifting and I was panicking with it on my chest, I would just kind of like throw it off of me. I would just be like,
Hmm.
nope, you're rejected, and throw it off of me. But you have to learn how to safely control it, even if it is coming off of you in an unexpected way. Respecting the stone. You got to
Yes,
respect it in the end. It's nature, and it's a piece of history. Whether it's a historical stone or just some stone in your backyard, it is a piece of history and deserves to be respected.
absolutely. So, working those negatives is super, super key. I wanted your thoughts on this. So, and I've been trying to convince others. For me, deadlifting is not in my program. It's not something I do anymore because it does really aggravate my back.
Mhm.
Stone lifting is, and you would think that they're at odds. But my thought is that because the mass is so close to my spine,
Yes.
I think that that's why it works for me. And
Yes.
can you maybe help me explain that in better terms than my layman attempt? Because when I try to explain, people are like, "Oh, like that doesn't make any sense at
No,
all." But
I mean, it makes perfect sense. Yeah.
mhm,
I mean, anything that's closer into your body becomes part of your weight, which you then carry. I mean, if you take a 10-pound dumbbell and hold it out in front of you, it's way heavier than it is to hold close into you.
Mhm.
And so with your center of gravity, and everybody has a different center of gravity, which is again where it makes that stone lifting interesting, in finding that center of gravity and making the weight of the stone match your weight and your strengths.
Yeah, and I feel like because I press it so tight up against me that it
Hmm.
almost becomes an extension of my spine. And
Yes.
so I move with it as such. And
Yes. It flows
yeah,
with you. Your energies move together.
yeah. And I think that that is one of the biggest things I've learned over the years is that getting that stone in like super, super tight against the body. And what helped is body recomp for me by being able to like squish it closer to my body. I was able to decrease the amount of,
Mm.
well, actually eliminate the amount of back pain that I was having.
Mhm.
So I think that was one of my biggest takeaways is that the closer you can hug that stone,
Mhm.
the more that it becomes part of you,
Yes.
the less it will injure.
Correct. Correct. And so when you're natural stone lifting, you also want to take that into consideration in the shape of stone that you're choosing and how you're choosing to lift that stone. So if it's a very oblong stone, you probably want to keep it in a way that's going to land close into your body, that you don't have your arms all the way extended out in front of your body. Everything you want to think, hug it in close. That's why I like to say I'm out hugging the rocks. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's what we do.
yeah.
We gotta just hug them in close, you know? Hug them
We
in
do
close,
need
give them a little love.
we do need t-shirts made for that. And
Yes.
so this was another piece that you were talking about earlier about how, bench not so much, but this is where actually bench and that like some of that pec work is super important
Yes.
to get a good grip. A lot of people focus on on like Romanians, their deadlifts, their trap bars, their front squats, but I find for me as a woman, my squats are great. My deadlift's okay. But my bench and my capacity
Mhm.
to crush is
Yes.
not as great. And so I've been spending more time in my programming looking at how to be able to hug those stones better. What are your thoughts on that?
But yeah, totally agree. Totally agree, but I don't emphasize it as much. But yes, to get that, I like incline better than
Hmm.
flat, because you're gonna be, so when I say bench, I mean flat barbell bench, right?
Yes.
I do like a dumbbell bench or an incline bench, because that's going to help get the shoulders and those upper pecs with any kind of or like when you're rolling up to the chest, when you get that squeeze and roll up to the chest, that's where that incline bench is going to come in. And for the squeeze, you definitely need some chest flies. Get some heavy, 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 heavy chest flies and focus on that squeeze. Crush those chest flies, crush those handles in together, and hold for about 10 seconds. Crush it as much as you can and make sure that you are feeling every single part of that muscle working, feeling every burnt part of that squeeze.
That has been one thing for sure. Like when I first started out in stones, I thought that like I was just putting my hands under and picking it up. But if you're not feeling, so this is advice for new people coming out. Well, even a reminder to others as well is that if you're not feeling it in your forearms, in your pecs, in all parts that are touching that stone, then you're missing out.
Yes.
You're
And that goes back into the mind body connection of using fascia to strengthen that mind body connection so that you can know where those muscles are, feel how they're supposed to feel how they're supposed to work.
so do you So you do your main lifts and training, you do a bit of breath work. Do you also balance that with mobility throughout the week or not?
Typically, I do a little bit of mobility. I really just kind of sneak it in with clients. Going
Mhm.
through the stretches with my clients throughout the day is where I sneak in my mobility. I don't make as much time as I should before my workouts, but I will definitely get a warm up with at least sitting in a deep squat and getting some banded pulls, like whether it's a face pull, a T-Rex pull, or a wide band pull apart, something to get the shoulder blades working, the thoracic spine mobile, and something to get the hips warm.
Right. All things I need to all things I need to add to my own programming. So we spoke about a lot of things this evening, and the biggest part I think for you has been the taking away like the community aspects.
Hmm.
In a nutshell, then, what has the stone community or even the strongman community given to you?
It is really opened my eyes and given me the confidence and the strength to find my own strength. The strongman community is one of the most uplifting communities that I've been a part of, and I'm so thankful for these people that I've found. They're so encouraging, and they just want everybody to just try hard. And that's the beauty of stone lifting or a strongman competition is it doesn't matter how much you lift. They want to see what kind of effort you are showing against yourself. And that's the real win in the strength sports.
And so, what would your message be then for women who feel drawn to stones but are scared to start?
Go lift your pebbles. Go outside. Listen to some stones. See what they have to say. See what they feel like. Just pick it up. See what you can do. Just try. Give it a try. That's all you have to do.
So, where can people like train with you or learn more about what you do with respect to fascia work?
Oh yeah, I train and do fascia work out of Baltimore, the Baltimore area. So you can find me on Instagram at Gairface, GAIRFACE, to ask any questions about training or fascia stretch that you'd like.
And what I always do with guests at the end is ask for 3 pieces of advice that they could give. Now, it can be stone lifting, training, fascia, just 3 pieces of advice that you want people to take away.
Yes, 3 things, very simple. Go outside, find your peace, and go play. I think going outside is very important to touch grass, breathe some fresh air, and connect with nature and enjoy its beauty. I think through that, you will find your peace, you will find yourself, and you will learn how to move throughout the world. And you have to go play. You have to have fun. Just remember to have fun with it. Life is too stressful to not have fun. So just enjoy what you do, and that's how you're going to grow.
Yeah, it's been, I think, for a while in training, and you probably got this in your bodybuilding experience, but it became really serious about the numbers, about performance, and sometimes that fun slips away. And we've got to recenter back on that. It is about bettering ourselves, but also having fun in the process.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, because it's all about the journey that makes it fun. It's that challenge that makes it fun. It would be so boring if it was easy. And that's why I like to do lifting in nature, because there's such a variety. And once you learn a stone, it's like, okay, next one, let's go. Let's go. So
Well,
it's
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 been an
fun.
absolute pleasure having you here today to chat all things PT related, fascia, stone lifting, strongman, bodybuilding, you name it. We've run the gamut. I appreciate you taking the time and having guests getting to know your story, and we will continue to watch it unfold. So thanks so much and have a great, is it your long weekend?
Well, I'm
Because
working on Friday. So
okay.
I'm eating tomorrow, bulking up
Okay.
tomorrow, and then back to work on Friday.
Well, have an amazing holiday weekend and we'll see you on the gram.
All right. Thank
Okay.
you. Take care.
Thanks, Laura. Bye.
Bye.